How you doing? Today's video is going to be about, it's actually going to be about narcissism, because I think narcissism really helped me realize that I wasn't living my true life, you know? I realized one day that I was totally confused in my life. And that's what happens when you realize that you have a narcissist in your life, especially if there's somebody that's like your husband or your mother or your boss at work, and you're wondering, why am I always frustrated? Like, what? How come there always seems to be a miscommunication, and I don't understand? Well, that's narcissism. So my eyes are kind of watery. Not because I'm crying, just because they're watery. Okay, so I should be crying, but I'm done crying about it. All right, so narcissism, and I decided that I was going to call it another name, and it was going to go by the name of Mind Fuck Itis, because that's what it is. It's a total mind F, you see. Anyway, that's what it is. You just get completely confused, and that's their whole point, is to confuse you, because that's the whole, they'll find somebody, otherwise they won't bother, because they'll find somebody that that'll actually try to that's interested in finding out, or that that wants to care about them or wants to find out more about them, and then they'll be like, ooh, they're listening to what I'm saying. Now's a good time to pull out my narky tricks. And so that's what happens. And so okay, so some examples, let's say, of narcissism. Well, what happened to me was I came home. I remember coming home one day from work, and I was just on a lunch break. And I told my ex-husband, we were married then, that I don't feel like I'm in my body. I couldn't explain it. I don't understand. I don't feel connected to myself. But I couldn't understand what I was even really saying. I'm like, well, I'm not sure. Like, I don't feel connected to myself. Like, I don't feel like I'm in my body. It was very strange. And so that wasn't I didn't come up that day and go, everybody's narcissists around me. That didn't happen. But it was sort of like the beginning of realizing that I didn't feel like I was living, being authentic. I don't know. I couldn't figure out what it was, though. I couldn't figure out why I didn't feel that way. Because, I was a real person. I'm going to work. I'm getting, you know what I mean? I'm talking. I have friends. But I couldn't figure out what was wrong. There was just something wrong. So, and then I wasn't happy in my relationship, but then I couldn't figure out why, because he's always telling you, oh, well, I'm so great. I'm a great guy. I'm a great catch. I don't go out and drink. I come home. All this stuff, right? But meanwhile, he was doing other things that I didn't understand, and that's why I wasn't happy. But I didn't understand that somebody that you would love would be trying to confuse you, and it's basically a confusion. Yeah, they put you in a state of confusion, and it's really I like the word insidious, because you're not expecting it. You know what I mean? You don't expect the people you care about to cause you so much confusion that after a while you stop talking to them, because when you talk to them, you just get confused and you're not sure why, because you're like, well, this is the most important person in my life, and I'm getting confused every single time I talk to them. And so some examples, maybe, let's say examples of my confusion. Let's say we had a driveway, and and I was supposed to park. We only had one parking space, really. The other parking space was his car that he didn't drive was parked in. So then there was one more space. And then you could park on the road. And so, in my opinion, most people would be like, first of all, you already have your shitty car and then drive, right? And so I should get the next spot at least. But I'm the woman. Most of the time I did the shopping. And so, I'm coming home from work. There was no need for him to park in the driveway, but it was every time. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, and we'd have a fight about it every time. Like, I don't understand why we're still fighting about it. Like, what's so difficult about... But it wasn't that it was difficult. It was just he wanted me to argue with him. And I didn't understand that. If I'd have caught on to that earlier, I wouldn't have argued. But it was like he wanted the argument. That's the point. They want... Narcissists, people say, oh, if you're with a narcissist, that means you're a narcissist, or, people shouldn't, I don't know, they should, you're saying people are a narcissist. Narcissism is really, really bad. It starts usually at home. So it didn't start with my ex-husband. It started at my house. You know what I mean? But we're talking about my ex-husband right now, I guess. So, but it started with my mom and my stepmom. Let's just put it that way. And I must have been codependent, obviously. But you're trained to be codependent when you're little. Duh. So you're trying to make things work, and then actually people are trying to not make things work, and they're kind of getting mad at you for trying to make it work, or something like that. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. They'll pull out, like, they'll argue about nothing and just to, see you react. I remember one time, and not just arguing, one time I got a letter in the mail, and it would look like a card, look kind of like a holiday card. I don't really celebrate holidays, but, so, this letter came, and it was from this lady I know. So I open it up, and my ex-husband was standing there. He was, at that time, he was my ex-husband. And I open it up, and it's just a card, and then he was like, oh, you thought there was going to be money in it, huh? And he kind of, laughed. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I don't know. I didn't know what was going to be in it. I just opened it up. I get money sometimes, and, sometimes people get money for the holidays, so it was no money, it was just a card from, a realtor, but, actually, the realtor actually gave me a $100 gift card the year before, so whatever, but, the whole point was, that he was actually happy that there was no money in it. It was really weird. It was like, why would you be happy there's no money? Because he was kind of jealous that I would get cards with money in them. Because he didn't get cards with money in them. But I was like, no matter what, I would still, whatever I got, I always shared with him. He never would have shared with me. He would have been like, oh, bye. but, he, every day, oh, I love you so much. It was so Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It was so weird. I was married for 12 years. 12 years! 12 years of fucking idiot. It's more like it. But I didn't know. I didn't know I was brought up that way to, let people shit on me. Or just, he, I don't even know if he cheated on me, actually. I don't think so. I might have even, cheated on him because he was driving me crazy. I didn't understand what was going on. Why don't we get along? And he would always be like, oh, my sister and her husband, they've been married, and they always make everything work, and, they do well, and how come we can't do it? And I didn't realize one of us wasn't participating. He was saying all this stuff like, let's participate, but he wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? He didn't share his stuff. I'd find money, tons of money, and I'd feel bad, oh, I shouldn't take his money, that's his. So stupid, I was so stupid. I was the stupidest. But it was only because that's how we're brought up. I was brought up with a narcissist mother and stepmother. And my father was totally codependent. And I just watched that situation. And that's how it went. And, I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. When you know that people, especially because I'm really a happy person, they cannot stand it. You know, I mean, like, and people like me, so they're like, oh, that's another problem. And you'd think all these things would be good, but they're not good when it comes to a narcissist. You know, a narcissist. We were at the store one day and like buying me a computer, and so I'm like, oh, I want this computer, and then we argued about it, and we never got the computer. I'm like, why are you, like, I thought we were. It was like Christmas. I don't celebrate holidays anymore. I give up. I'm done with the holidays, but I just couldn't believe, it was everything. Everything was an argument. It was it was like, how can you always be so confused? Anyway, one day, I kept dating him after we were divorced. Like, I moved out of the house, and after we were married for like 8 years, I still stayed with him for like another 4 years until I got divorced, and I still stayed with him after that because first of all, I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I wasn't happy, but I couldn't really tell you why, So it was sort of like, I don't know what's wrong, but I don't know why. My boss was a narcissist too. Like, I didn't know, They're like, I don't know. So anyway, my ex, I mean, just okay. Like, I'm trying to think of a gaslighting technique, because they say gaslighting is like the worst, right? So, what do you do? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, kind of stuff like fixing your car, but then leaving like the water. So he fixed one time. He put like something in the radiator, and then he didn't put the cap back on, right? So for some reason, I went and checked it before I started my car, and then there was no cap, and I'm like, and it wasn't just like there was no cap. It was like nowhere. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. It was just way too strange. Like one day there was a box in my house, and then he took the box to his house, which isn't even near my house, and then didn't even really tell me about it. And then I was like, well, I must have not got my item. I reordered from Amazon, and he's like, oh, I took that box over to my house. Why? Just random stuff. And the thing is with people is like years, oh, you've been together so long, or oh, he's such a nice guy. I mean, to this day, my family is like, oh, well, what's his address again? Because his mom passed away and they wanted to send him a card, which is fine, but don't ask me his address. I don't give it, you know what I mean? Like, like, leave me out of it. Like, I've had enough. Like, he said he's going to give me $2,000. And then he was like, well, because he was selling this property that we were both owned. And he was getting like $2,600 or something. And I mean, $26,000 or whatever. And I was like, well, that's his, because I signed it over to him in the divorce. So whatever. I didn't really care. But he didn't put it in his name. So I had to sign all this paperwork. I'm like, well, give me a couple grand, at least. Just, fuck, you should have taken it out of my name a long time ago. And the only reason I gave to him is he's like whining, oh, this is going to be for our son when he gets older, at least he'll have something. And all of a sudden it's like time to sell, right? So, and he doesn't want to give me nothing, right? See, this guy took so much from me. It's ridiculous. So he gave me $500, and then he gave me $100 a month for 5 months, and then he stopped because we weren't talking anymore, so I knew he would do that. He always does it. He's totally nickels and dimes. It's so insane. So, anyway, I'm going to be talking more about narcissism because, it's important. They're doing this. People are doing this to their families daily. And then it goes to the school. Teachers are narcissists. I was a teacher, so whatever. But the principals are usually the narcissists. The teachers are narcissists, sort of, sometimes. People are narcissists, so the teachers can be narcissists. But principals, on the other hand, most of them are going to be. In Las Vegas, anyway. I don't live in Las Vegas, but I know that's where I worked as a teacher. So, I mean, It's crazy. And your friends can be narcissists. I didn't even know. Like, I'm such a fucking nice person. It's not as much anymore. I'm still nice, but I mean, how I figured out one day, I look at my ex, right? Because I kept sleeping with him, kept going out. My son, now just, became of age to like go to college and stuff. So I was like, oh, I can finally leave this asshole. And so I left. I left. But I moved out of the state. But I was looking at him one day, and it was weird because I was looking at him, and then all of a sudden, it was like how they say the mask slips, and so I thought I saw like an evil person. I was like, holy shit. Like, I got shocked. Like, who's this motherfucker? What? Who the? Holy shit. I was like, what's going on? I was freaked. It was just for a second, too, so you're like, ah. But then, I was like, I just saw your face, and then he totally ignored me. I said, I saw your face, and it looked kind of evil or whatever, and he ignored me, and he walked out of the room. So I walked out of the room after, and I said, why are you ignoring me? I'm talking to you. And that's another thing. They'll just, like, ignore you, so then you think you're going kind of nuts. Like, you're like, did he just walk out of the room and didn't even say, oh, you're crazy, or, oh, anything, just complete silence. Always doing that kind of crap. All the time, just thinking you're nuts. So then I was calling him on it. It was like freaking how many years later? Probably 20 years after we met. You know what I mean? I'm finally getting it. Like, he used to say all kind of crazy stuff, but I wouldn't listen. I thought he was just whatever, nuts. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's not serious. He's not serious. But he was serious the whole time. I thought I was joking. Like, one time I said, I should call you Massa. Because he's white. And I should call you Massa. And he's like, yeah, Like, he thinks he's fucking really awesome. Like, really awesome. Fucking narcissists think they know everything. And they aren't really listening to anybody else. Actually, their information is kind of usually really, like, repetitive. Or something that you're not really interested in. It's really strange. Like, we would go to dinner parties, and he would talk the whole time. Nobody else could talk. Christmas, Itis talking. Oh, shoot, I said his name. It was like nuts. Every holiday. He would talk, and nobody else would have a chance. I'm like, don't you think anybody else? I think they don't want you to know. He didn't want anybody to know that everybody else has been to college, everything, and I don't know if he just, I don't know. He always had to have, like, this attention on him. Like, it was horrible. It was horrible. Anyway, narcissism sucks. It really does. It really affects children in a really bad way. We grew up in this, like, if our parents are narcissists, we're over there trying to please and please and please. And that's their whole point, is that they don't want to act like they're pleased. And that's where it is. They're not going to act happy. That's just, they're inside. What they say is inside. This person got damaged as a child, and then something happens, so that they turn off kind of like the happy emotion, and then everything is kind of upset. Like my stepmom, everything she talks about is like depressing. So she doesn't come home and be like, oh, something good happened. It's always, oh, I saw a dog get hit in the road, or, oh, like recently a friend of mine, her brother got shot and killed. Just so happened to be right after my dad had a surgery, or no, kind of like procedure. And so she texts me, oh, your dad's doing fine. And in the same exact text, oh, and your friend's brother got shot outside the prison. What? Escaping from the prison or whatever. It was totally like on the same text. Their whole point is confusion. I think is it in the Bible? Let's cause confusion, or what? You know what I mean? There's something like, let's get down and cause confusion. And that's what's going on in the world. The whole world is narcissistic. The politics are narcissistic. The school system is narcissistic. Everything. Getting a job is a narcissistic procedure unless you work for yourself, you know? And most people don't work for themselves because a narcissist told them they shouldn't. You know? It's like they always tell you what they think and they don't even care that much. So it's like they're telling you something that they think. And you're totally like listening, like, whoa, what? You know, like they must care about me, so that what they're saying is gonna help me get on in life. Exact opposite. Exact opposite. Actually, it's destroying you. You're going out and it's like you're unprotected. It's like they're stripping away your protection because they're lying to you and you're believing it, and like it totally erodes your sense of self. And so when you go out in the world, you stand, you feel like you're on this, you're never on like flat ground. You're always standing on like some sand with some, thorns in it, with some this, and you never get your footing. You're too busy kind of looking at your feet to even realize what's going on in the world half the time. That you're being treated like not good, and people don't care. People don't care. Like, people that are stupider than me think that they're super smarter than me. Because narcissistic people make you look bad, but it's just because you're making them look bad at the time. And then meanwhile, people don't see that. They think, oh, wow, why doesn't she like you? Why doesn't she like me? Like, wait. I didn't do anything. I made a good suggestion, and she didn't like it. Everybody else agreed with me, and it was like, oh, she didn't like it. And I don't talk up a lot either. It's like, I'm not the type, like, I don't care that much. At work especially, it's like, I don't even want to be here. I just wanted it to not be as miserable as it could have been if we took the suggestion of what she was making. So I was like, oh God, we can't do that. And so I spoke up, because I know everybody in the room was feeling the same way. Except her, which she didn't, but I don't know. I think that it was such a bad idea that she had that it didn't make any sense. So it was sort of like, why you want us to agree with this? You know what I mean? It was like, we had a small school, so there was a play or something that was going to take place, and she's like, we should go to this other school across town. I'm like, people don't even want to come here. No. I go, well, that's not a good idea. I disagree. I don't think it's a good idea. And she didn't like that. So, I mean, narcissists, whatever. Life goes on, right? Okay, so anyway, I hope you learn a little bit more about narcissism today. Life goes on, right? I don't live with a narcissist anymore. Now I can pick out a narcissist pretty quickly. I try to avoid them. So happens person I live by and his other person are narcissists, but at least I know now what it is. Trying to drive you nuts. They try to drive you nuts, and you're like confused, like, why are you trying to? They can't possibly try and drive me nuts. There has to be something else. Since I was born. Since I was born. Okay, well, I'm going to try to make more videos, maybe for kids, because I was messed up as a kid. And maybe even if somebody just said, people might actually try intentionally to mess with your head. Like, and don't kill yourself over it, because if you can at least know that people are out there doing that on purpose, can't help it, just negative, and act like they're nice. They can have a good conversation. I was married to that guy for 12 years. Plus, I was dating him for how long? And I still stayed with him afterward. So, I mean, it's so insidious. The word is insidious, where it's like, something's going on, and it's really, really bad, and you wouldn't really consider it a thing to be actually happening. Like, you get taken care of well, and da-da-da-da. No. It's not fair, and it's not right. So, Love you guys. My name is Coppernosis because, I know some stuff. All right. Love you guys. Okay, bye.